Hello students, hope you all are fine. Today we are going to start our sixth video of class 12th macroeconomics. Here we are starting our third chapter, national income and related aggregates. This is our first part of the third chapter. Today we are going to start the very first topic, that is domestic territory. Before starting this, I want to tell you, in previous video we have discussed about types of goods. In that we have discussed consumer goods, capital goods, intermediate goods and final goods. After that we have discussed about gross investment, net investment, depreciation and many more topics. Before proceeding this, you have to look that video. This is very important video, so we are going to start, and please listen carefully each and every point. Here domestic territory means the political frontier of a country. Political frontier simply means borders of our country. The map which include, we are saying it includes inside everything that is comes under the political frontier of our country. So simply here we are saying domestic territory means the political frontier of a country, but this political frontier has some wider sense. Political frontier includes, number one, any ship or any aircraft which is owned and operated by normal resident between two or more country. Here, who is normal resident? Normal resident is one who ordinarily resides in a country for a period of 1 year or more than 1 year, and his economic interest means here all the economic activities such as production, consumption, investment lies in that country only. That is normal resident. So any ship, any aircraft which is owned and operated by normal resident between two countries, that comes under our domestic territory. Through example we are going to discuss that point. Planes operated by Air India. Air India is our plane between Russia and Japan. Our plane is operating between other countries, where India plane operating between Russia and Japan. So this is our plane, but it is working in another, operating in another countries. So this is part of our territory. Similarly, if plane of Singapore Airways working in India and Japan are part of the domestic territory of Singapore. I hope clear first point. Come to second point. Fishing vessels, oil and natural gas rigs and floating platform operated by the resident. Here we are saying operated by the resident of a country in the international water where they have exclusive right of operation. We are saying vessels are our, oil and natural gas floating platforms are our, but this is operated by our resident, but in other international water body, but they have some exclusive right. So this is our domestic territory. Through example, we are going to discuss fishing boats. Our boats, fishing boats, operated by Indian fishermen in international waters of Indian Ocean will be considered a part of domestic territory. Simply. Third point, our embassy, any embassy, consulates. What this consulate means, this is office or any building used by consul and officer commissioned by government to reside in a foreign country to promote the interest of our country. This is any office which is established in foreign country and working for the welfare of our country. So this is consulates. And our military, established of a country located abroad. Our military established abroad, so we are considering under domestic territory. For example, Indian embassy in Russia is a part of the domestic territory of India. So anything, any company, outside company, any company of Japan which is working or which is established inside our country, so this is our part. But if any embassy of outside country, embassy of Japan, embassy of Pakistan is established in India, so this is the part of Pakistan, not India. Similarly, Indian embassy, our office, our bank established in foreign country, so this is the domestic territory of our India. Now moving further, here we are discussing domestic territory does not include. Here we are discussing about domestic territory does not include. Before this we have discussed what domestic territory, what political frontier includes. Here we are discussing domestic territory does not include embassy, consulate and military establishment of a foreign country. If any embassy, any consulate and any military established in India, outside embassy established in India, so this is not a part of our country. This is the part of that country. For example, if Japan, look here, Japan embassy in India is a part of domestic territory of Japan. So if Japanese embassy established in India, so this is the part of domestic territory of Japan, not India. Moving further, second point, international organization like UNO, WHO, etc. located within the geographical boundary, within our political frontier, within the geographic boundary. So this is not part of our country. This is not the domestic territory of our country. According to the United Nations, economic territory, or we can say domestic territory, is the geographical territory administered by a government within which person, goods or capital circulate freely. Means political frontier where goods and services can easily transfer. With the help of some questions, we are going to discuss the same topic, domestic territory. This point can be helpful to easily understood about domestic territory of India. First point, we have to tell that this covered under, this is a part of domestic territory or not. An Indian company in London, our company, our Indian company is in London, so this is our domestic territory, part of our domestic territory? No, this is not part of our domestic territory. because this is not within the political frontier. Next, Microsoft Office in India. Yes, we can say this is the domestic territory of India because this is established in India. Next, company in India owned by Japan. Company in India owned by a Japanese, but company, this is a company of Japanese, but this company is in India within our political frontier. So this is the domestic territory. Moving further, Office of Reliance Industry in New York. No, this is not a part of our country. This is not the domestic territory. This is the company. Reliance is the company of India, but this is in New York. So this is not within the domestic territory. Now, branch of foreign bank in India. So this is the domestic territory of India. Indian embassy in Japan. In previous video we have discussed any embassy, any consulate. If this is our embassy, our military, our consulate established outside, then also this is the domestic territory of our country. Here, Indian embassy in Japan, this is the domestic territory. Where it is established, no matter, but this is embassy, so embassy is the domestic territory. Branch of State Bank of India in China. State Bank of India, this is, but this is in China, so this is not our domestic territory. Moving further, Russian embassy in India. This is the embassy of Russia, but established in India. So this is not domestic territory of India. This is the domestic territory of Russia. Tata rented its building to Google in America. So this is not domestic territory of our country. So point 2, point 3, point 5 and point 6. This is the domestic territory of India. Hope you understood this topic, domestic territory. Now moving further, we are going to discuss detail about normal resident. Now there is definition. Normal resident of a country refers to an individual or an institution who ordinarily resides. Ordinarily resides means a person residing in a country for a period of 1 year or more than 1 year. This is known as ordinarily residing in a country and whose center of economic interest. Economic interest means a person carry out all his economic activities such as production, consumption or investment in that country only. So here we are saying normal resident of a country refers to any person, any individual or any institution who ordinarily resides more than 1 year. 1 year or more than 1 year and whose economic interest means production, consumption, investment also lies in that country only. Normal resident include both individual and institution. Here in detail we are going to discuss what is center of economic interest. Number 1, the resident lives or is located within the domestic territory. The person lives in that country only. Second, the resident carry out his or her basic economic activity like earning, spending, or accumulation from that location. Means the person whose economic interest means वो आदमी जिस देश का नॉर्मल रेजिडेंट वो तब कहलाएगा जब वो 1 साल से ज़्यादा उस देश में रह रहा है और उसी देश में वो कमा भी रहा है और उसे स्पेंड भी कर रहा है. नेक्स्ट, we are going to discuss in detail. Following are not included under the category of normal resident. In definition, we have discussed a person who is residing in that country 1 year or more than 1 year and his economic interest lies in that country, that is normal resident. And here we are discussing the person who not comes under the category of normal resident. Any foreign tourist, any tourist come in India for seeing Taj Mahal, for visiting Taj Mahal, so we are not considering that person as normal resident. Any foreign tourist or any visitor who visit a country for recreation, for spending holidays, for medical treatment, for any study, for any sports, conference, etc. we are not considering that person as a normal resident. Foreign staff of embassy, officials, diplomats, and members of the armed force of a foreign country located in the given country. Suppose in our country we are having the foreign embassy, Japanese embassy, and Japanese are working in that country only, so we are not considering that staff as a normal resident. Next, international organization like UNO, WHO, etc. are not considering as normal resident of that country in which they operate. They are treated as the normal resident of international area. Next, employees of international organization are considered as resident of the country to which they belong and not to the international area. For example, American working in UNO office located in India will be treated as normal resident of India. That embassy is located, that office is located in India, but that office is of American office and person is working here, Americans are working in that, so we are not considering that Americans as a normal resident. However, if the employees are working for more than 1 year in such international institutions, then they become the normal resident of a country in which such institutions are located. There is one if and but here. If that employee working for more than 1 year, so we are considering that person as a normal resident of a country in which such institutions are located. It means, in the given example, if the American is working in a UNO office in India, that office in India, UN office, and that person is working for more than 1 year, then we will be treating as normal resident. Any crew member of foreign vessel who is operating vessel, that person is known as crew member. Commercial traveler जो किसी काम की वजह से हमारे देश में आ रहे हैं. Seasonal worker provided they stay less than 1 year. We are not considering any crew member or commercial traveler, seasonal worker as a normal resident. Moving further, border worker who live near international border and cross the border on a regular basis to work in that country, they are treated as normal resident of the country where they live and not where they work. If we are crossing the border daily, we are going to other country border for work, but we are returning back daily to our country. So we are not treated as a normal resident of that country, where we are treating the normal resident of the country where we live, not where we work. So this is all 6 points which tells us that this do not come under the category of normal resident. We are having some points. Through that point we can easily understood who are the normal resident. First point, Indian officials working in the Indian embassy in USA. Indian officials working in the Indian embassy. Embassy is in India. This is Indian embassy and established in USA. And Indians are working there. So we are treating as normal resident, because this is our embassy and our person are working there. So we are treating the Indians, we are treating the normal resident of India. Second, a Japanese tourist who stay in India for 2 months. Japanese tourist, they came from Japan, they are the tourist and they are staying in India, and time period is only 2 months. We have discussed in definition that normal resident are those who are ordinarily residing in our country for 1 year and more than 1 year. Here we are saying Japanese tourist, and we are not considering tourist as a normal resident, and the person, they are staying in India only for 2 months, so they are not normal resident of India. Indians, we are talking about Indian going to Pakistan. They are going to Pakistan for watching the cricket match. They are Indians only. They are only going for watching match, and then they will come back again to India. So they are the normal resident of India. C, normal resident of India. Now come to D point. Indians working in UNO office. Our person, they are working in UNO office, and that office is located in America, and they are working for less than 1 year. So we are considering that person as a normal resident of India. Indian employees working in WHO located in India. Yes, they are the normal resident of India because they are Indian employees and they are working in WHO, and this is located in India. Next, foreign tourist visiting India for a month. They are foreigner, only they are coming to see Taj Mahal, so we are not considering them as normal resident of India. Indian Muslim, they are Indians only. They are going for a Hajj pilgrimage, so we are treating they are normal resident of India. Simply, this concept normal resident of India tells that any person who reside in a country for 1 year or more than 1 year and his or her economic interests lie in that country, they are the normal resident. Next, moving further, here we have discussed about domestic territory, we have discussed about normal resident. Here we are going to discuss citizenship and residentship. They are two different terms. Citizenship, if we are talking about citizenship, it is basically a legal concept, and residentship, this is an economic concept. First of all, we are talking about citizenship, basically legal concept based on place of birth. Who is known as citizen? On which basis we are considering citizen? On the place of birth. If we have taken birth in India, so we are known as the citizen of India. Secondly, or some legal provision. Through some legal provision, we can become the citizen of that particular country, allowing a person to become citizen. It means Indian citizenship can arise in two ways. First, when a person is born in India, if we born in India, so automatically we known as citizen of India. He acquires automatic citizenship of India. Second, through some legal formalities. If we have done some legal provision, a person born outside India applies for citizenship and Indian law allow him to become Indian citizen. So we can be. So we are having two things. Number one, if we born in India, so automatically we are known as a citizen of India. Secondly, with the help of Indian law, if Indian law allow him or her to become Indian citizen, so we can become the citizenship. Now, residentship. It is an economic concept based on the basic economic activities performed by a person. An individual is a normal resident. All normal residents are not known as citizenship. An individual is a normal resident of a country. If he is normal resident of a country, so he ordinarily resides in the country for a period more than 1 year. So his economic of center lies in that country. With the help of example, I am going to tell you. A Chinese living in India for more than 1 year. So that Chinese is known as normal resident of India. However, he is not a citizen of India as he does not hold citizenship. It means a person can be a citizen of one country and at the same time a resident of another country. If we are a citizen of India, so we can become the normal resident of another country also. If we are living more than 1 year, we are working there for some time, we live for 5 years there, so automatically we are known the normal resident of America and the citizen of India only. So residentship means if we are performing economic activity, so we known as the resident, and if we have taken birth on that particular country and through some legal provision that law given permission to become the citizen, so we are the citizen of that country. I hope you understood this concept. Now moving further, one important concept: factor income and transfer income. Factor income refers to income received by factors of production by rendering factor service in the production process. फैक्टर इनकम, अगर हम सिंपली बात करें, अगर हमने कोई सर्विस प्रोवाइड की, इफ वी हैव रेंडर्ड सर्विस and in return we are getting some income, we have rendered our services, we have done some work, and in return we are earning some profit, some money, so that is our factor income. So it is received by providing factor service. Suppose we have given our land, so we are earning some rent. We have given labor work, so we are getting wages. If we have given our capital, so we are getting some interest. If we have given enterprise, so we are earning profit. We are giving something, we are rendering something, in return we are getting something, that is factor income. If we are giving something to someone and in return we are earning something, कुछ मेहनत करा और उसके बदले में हमने कुछ कमाया, that is factor income. It is received by factor services like land, labor, capital, enterprise. factor income of normal resident of a country is included in the national income. If we are talking about which thing is included in national income, so we are saying factor income are included in national income because ये हम अपनी मेहनत से कमा रहे हैं. If we are rendering any services, in return we are getting money, so that money is included in the national income. Example, rent, wages, interest, profit. So rent, wages, interest, profit we are including in national income. If we are talking about transfer income, any income which we are receiving without rendering any service or without rendering any productive service, so that income is known as transfer income. हमें कुछ चीज फ्री में मिल जाए, suppose we are getting any gift from someone, so that gift is transfer income. उसके बदले में हमने कुछ नहीं दिया. This is unilateral, one-sided. In factor income, we are rendering our services, then only we are getting something. Here we are not giving anything. This is unilateral, one-sided concept. It can be received either within the domestic territory of a country or from abroad. Example, old age pension, scholarship, unemployment allowance, pocket money, these all are the example of transfer income. Taxes received by a government are the transfer income of the government. They are received without providing any productive service in return. Similarly, subsidy paid by the government are transfer payment of the government. So this is all about transfer income. Hope you understood. Later we will discuss in our next video. Hope you understood. Thank you.